Good morning, watchers. So today I just thought I'd do just a few minutes video about, as people have already starting to learn, I suffer from fibromyalgia. And sometimes get memory block. I can't remember words. I can't remember where I've been, what I've done, what I've walked into a room to collect. People that suffer from fibromyalgia and related illnesses quite often call this fibro fog, as in brain fog mixed with fibromyalgia. Does it exist? People say yes, others say no. Doctors are finally starting to get to grips with the fact that it might be a real thing. But I, from experience, am absolutely convinced it is a legit symptom. So what is fibro fog? For me, the best way to describe it is when you know what you want to do, you've 100% got it in your mind, but you actually can't at that moment recall what it is you walked into a room for, what word you're looking for, what sentence you were going to say. Now, I myself, English is my first language. However, I do speak Spanish as well, and we do live in Spain. I'm not fluent. I do get my tenses mixed up and words mixed up, but I've never really had an issue speaking the language on a day-to-day basis. However, with fibro fog, it really makes it difficult for me to recall not so much what I'm going to say, but the context in which I'm going to say it. So at the moment, I'm currently thinking in English. I'm mentally translating it to Spanish and then trying to get the words out. Whereas when I lived here years ago, I thought in Spanish the majority of the day. So the reverse was true. I'd think in Spanish and have to revert it back to English. So that's the level of my Spanish. So however, as I say, it's recalling. I know what I need to say, but it's actually recalling it at that moment in time, which makes you stutter and stop. People think that you don't know what you want to say. And this happens to me both in Spanish and in English. So why does this happen? My daughter used to study psychology, and she says it's the fact that the information is there. It's all there in your mind. It's the recall that's the issue. It's finding that little file of information that you need for a specific conversation, pulling it to the forefront of your brain, processing it, and speaking the words. I don't know whether that's actually correct. I don't know whether, I know what I want to talk about, the information is in there, but I don't know if it just gets mixed up en route to my mouth because it becomes confused. Sentences back to front, sometimes I sound like Yoda. Sentences back to front, I'll put a Spanish word in. I don't know what I want to say. I get confused. I use the wrong tenses, both in English and in Spanish. I use the words completely incorrectly. And I also make up my own words, which I know don't exist, but they fit the sentence that I am trying to say at that moment in time. So, for example, I might walk into the kitchen, shout to my husband, "Do you want a cup of tea? Do you want a cup of coffee?" He'll say, "Yeah, I'll have tea." 2 seconds later, I've got the kettle in my hand and I'll go, "Did you say you wanted tea or coffee?" He'll go, "I wanted tea." I'll go, "Okay, not a problem." I go to open the tea bags. "Did you say you wanted tea?" He'll go, "Yeah, I wanted tea." I go, "Okay, so what do I go make?" I make coffee. That happens probably 3 or 4 times out of 10, I would say, on average. That can be the same for many different things. I forget the names of things. So, for example, if I'm carrying the coffee on a tray, for example, instead of just in my hand, I won't call I brought the coffee on a tray. I'll say something like, "I brought the coffee on a mug putter honor." And that'll be because I say that the mug is put onto the tray, so I call the tray a mug putter honor, or something like that. This is so typical of people that have got fibromyalgia and similar illnesses that suffer from this kind of confusion. I do know there's a lot of investigation going on at the moment about it, but it's very, very unusual for a doctor to actually say that that's what it is. In my case, they're sending me off for a brain scan and everything like that. Just make sure it's nothing more sinister. But I am only 46, coming up to 47, and it's quite concerning that my memory, as it is currently, is probably progressively going to get worse. If I'm like this at 46, I dread to think what I'm, and I'm sure my husband will dread to think what I'm like in another 10, 20 or 30 years time. I really don't have much else to say on the matter apart from the fact that it is very, very confusing. It's confusing for the person who suffers from it, so it's even more confusing for the people that are around them. So in my case, what I try and do is make sure that everyone I come in contact with, anyone that I'm going to have any kind of relationship with, no matter how loosely, whether that be someone just via telephone or WhatsApp, messages or Facebook, that they are aware of the situation, so that if you make a mistake and you put words out of context or you use the wrong words, that the person that's on the receiving end of the message is aware that, oh, it's Claire, she's just made a Claireism or something and she just used the wrong word or whatever, because sometimes using just the wrong word, even in the correct context, can completely change what you're trying to say, and it can be very, very confusing for the person at the receiving end of the message to actually know what you're going on about. My husband and I have been together now 13 years, almost married for 4, and he laughs about it, but I know it's a battle for him every day, trying to decipher what I'm talking about, especially in a business sense. I'll say something to him, or a client will have called in the morning, and I will have completely forgotten about the fact that that client has called, and it's something that he needs to look into and investigate, because he does all the admin and everything for the company. And I will just say, oh, by the way, so-and-so called and they need information on, oh, what did you say you wanted to drink? And I will just stop mid-sentence and change tact completely, go off at a tangent about something completely different, and it can be unsettling. It really, really confuses your train of thought. So I really, as I say, I really don't know what much more I can say on it, apart from anybody that's out there, anybody who's suffering from this kind of confusion and fogginess in their brain, even though you know you're intelligent, even though you know you are more than capable of storing and recalling that information, at that moment in time, you can't recall it. The words on the tip of your tongue, you know what you went into a room for, but you can't, when you actually physically get there, you can't remember that you went to go and get the laundry or dust the TV or whatever it be. It's really, really disconcerting. So anybody out there that's struggling with this kind of thing, please, 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 in the first instance, go and see your doctor. Your GP should be able to help you no end, and if they can't, they will definitely put you in touch with someone who can. My second little bit of advice would, as I said in my case, I make sure everybody around me is aware of my situation, and therefore they start to understand when you do make those mistakes, instead of just like going off at a tangent of something or talking over people. That's one of my biggest issues. I think of something, I need to say it so quickly, because if I don't, I'll have forgotten it a few seconds later, that I talk over people. And for people that don't know what your situation is, they can find this extremely rude. Again, so that's just another reason. It's like having someone having Tourette's. If you don't explain to people that you suffer from Tourette's, if you suddenly have an outburst of tics or swearing, they're going to find that very, very strange to deal with. Same for people that have got mental confusion issues. People that are around you, if you start talking over them or just butting in, or you're talking about something and then you start to talk about something else completely unconnected with the first thing, then they'll be like, what the hell's going on? You know, it's really difficult. So try and, apart from having to deal with the issues yourself, try and make those around you aware of the issues you're dealing with. then they can help you on your journey. I'm going to leave this completely open. It's something I probably will revisit at a later date. I appreciate anybody who's going to watch this video, and just to anyone that does suffer from this kind of thing, you aren't out there alone. There are millions of people across the world of all ages that struggle with this kind of thing. So make sure you get some professional help from your GP initially. Make sure you get your family and friends and acquaintances on board. Do not be embarrassed about the issues that you have. The more we talk about it, the less taboo it gets, the more that people, the average person in the street, is aware what's going on, what people are dealing with. And in the end, we should all be able to tolerate each other a little bit more. This is a subject feel quite strongly about. When I've got my channel up and running a little bit more, it is something that I will probably revisit at a later date. But for now, I'm Claire Mehay-Hayes. My channel is Living Life with Fibromyalgia. So I would massively appreciate it if you could subscribe to my channel, like it, comment any feedback. This is very, very new to me. Any feedback would be greatly appreciated. And if you do like what I've been doing so far, there's a notification bell there that you can just turn on, and then any other videos that are coming from me to you, you can be aware that you get them first off. So for now, that's it for me for today, and I'll see you on my next video. Thanks for watching.